is a specific kind of heartbreak that happens in the kitchen, quiet and sharp. When you open the crisper drawer and find it, you reach for a head of garlic, expecting that firm, papery resistance, that clean white armor protecting the pungent treasure inside. Instead, your fingers sink into something soft, something yielding. You pull it out, and there it is, mushy, perhaps spotted with gray mold, or worse, sprouting green shoots from the center like little alien antennas reaching for a light that isn't there. The smell hits you then, not the bright, spicy aroma of fresh allium, but the damp, sweet scent of decay. It is the smell of money rotting. It is the smell of time wasted. You think back to the trip to the grocery store, the plastic bag, the few dollars you handed over without thinking, assuming this staple would last. You assumed wrong. And now, standing there with a handful of sludge, you feel that small, nagging guilt. Not because you did anything malicious, but because you failed to steward what was given to you. You let it slip through your fingers. But I want you to listen closely, because this failure is not your fault. You were taught to buy, not to keep. You were taught that food comes from a box, stays fresh until the expiration date printed by a machine, and then becomes trash. That is a lie sold to you by a system that profits from your constant return to the shelf. The modern world has forgotten the old way. It has forgotten that before refrigeration trucks and waxed coatings, our grandparents kept garlic through the deepest winters and the hottest summers, using nothing but air, shadow, and patience. They didn't have plastic bags. They had braids. They had wisdom. By the end of this conversation, you will not just know how to store garlic. You will understand the living biology of the bulb itself. You will have the verified rules to never fail at this again. You will turn that guilt into confidence, and that waste into wealth. I am Isaac Beiler, and I keep house and farm here in Lancaster County, the way it was handed down to me before the world got so fast. My hands are rough from the soil, and my memory is long with the lessons of my fathers. We do not rush here. We observe. We work with the rhythm of the seasons, not against them. If you value this kind of plain, practical know-how that the world is trying to bury, I'd ask you to subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep these old traditions alive for the next generation. It tells the algorithm that there are still people who care about truth, about sustainability, and about doing things right. Now, one honest word so you trust me. I am not going to promise you magic. Garlic is a living thing, even after it is harvested. It breathes. It sleeps. It wakes. If you treat it like a rock, it will disappoint you. If you treat it like a sleeping child, tucking it in with care and keeping it in the right environment, it will serve you faithfully for months. But you must pay attention. You must be present. That is the price of the old way. It costs nothing in money, but it demands everything in attention. Let us speak plainly about why you are struggling. Look at the grocery store aisle. See the garlic wrapped in tight plastic mesh, often bleached white to look perfect, sometimes coated in a thin layer of wax to seal in moisture and seal out air. This is designed for shelf appeal, not for shelf life. The big brands and grocery chains profit from your lack of knowledge. They want you to buy garlic every week because the last batch went bad in 3 days. They run their system on waste. If everyone knew how to store food properly, the turnover rate would drop, and their profits would shrink. So they sell you convenience, which is just a fancy word for dependency. They sell you the idea that cold is the answer to everything. Put it in the fridge, they say. Keep it cold. But garlic is not a lettuce leaf. It is a bulb from a plant that thrives in warm summers and cool, dry autumns. When you put raw garlic in the refrigerator, especially if it is humid, you are inviting disaster. The cold triggers the garlic to think spring has come. It begins to sprout. The moisture turns the cloves mushy. And worse, in a sealed container, garlic can harbor bacteria that thrive in low oxygen, low acid environments. You are not preserving it. You are creating a petri dish. Contrast this with plain knowledge. The knowledge I share with you costs only pocket change. It requires a string, a dark corner, and an understanding of airflow. It is knowledge that cannot be taken away from you by a supply chain disruption or a price hike. It is freedom. To master this, we must follow 7 verified rules. These are not suggestions. They are the laws of horticulture and common sense woven together. Rule number 1 is about the harvest, or rather, the selection. If you are buying from a store, you must choose with your eyes and your hands. Do not pick the biggest, whitest head just because it looks impressive. Look for heads that are heavy for their size. Weight means moisture content, and moisture means freshness. But more importantly, feel the neck. The neck is the top of the bulb where the stem was cut. It must be tight, dry, and closed. If the neck is soft or spongy, the protective layers have already been breached. Rot enters through the neck first. In the old days, we called this the collar. A tight collar keeps the enemy out. Scientifically, the outer skins of the garlic are desiccated leaves. They act as a barrier against fungal spores and dehydration. If the collar is loose, that barrier is broken. Always check the bottom plate too, the root end. It should be clean and dry, not black or moldy. If you see green sprouts pushing through the paper, walk away. That garlic has already used its energy to grow, and the flavor will be bitter and weak. You want dormant garlic, sleeping garlic. Rule number 2 concerns the cleaning, or the lack thereof. Many people make the mistake of washing their garlic or peeling off all the papery skins to make it look neat. This is a fatal error. Those papery skins are nature's packaging. They regulate humidity and protect the clove from light and air. When you strip a bulb bare, you expose the delicate flesh to oxidation and drying out. Do not wash garlic unless it is caked in wet mud, and even then, brush it off gently. Never use water if you intend to store it for more than a few days. Water invites mold. Instead, use a soft brush or your hands to remove loose dirt. Leave the outermost layers intact, even if they are brown or stained. Beauty is not the goal. Longevity is. In horticulture, we call this the tunic. The tunic protects the bulb from mechanical damage and pathogen entry. Treat it with respect. If you buy garlic with loose skin, do not peel it further. Just let it be. Rule number 3 is the most critical, and it is where most modern folks fail. Curing. If you have grown your own or bought fresh, green garlic from a farmer's market, it is not ready for storage. It is full of water. It needs to cure. Curing is the process of slowly drying out the outer layers while the inner cloves remain plump. You do this by hanging the garlic in bundles in a warm, dry, well-ventilated area out of direct sunlight. Think of a barn loft or a covered porch, not a hot attic, which will cook it, and not a damp basement, which will rot it. The ideal temperature is around 80 degrees Fahrenheit with good airflow. This process takes 3 to 4 weeks. During this time, the necks tighten, the skins become papery, and the flavors concentrate. If you skip curing and try to braid or hang fresh garlic, it will rot from the inside out. The moisture trapped inside has nowhere to go. Science tells us that curing reduces the water activity in the bulb, making it inhospitable to bacteria and mold. It is a preservation technique as old as agriculture itself. Do not rush it. Patience is the ingredient you cannot buy. Rule number 6 is the method of storage. The braid and hang. This is the heart of the old way. Why do we braid? It is not just for decoration, though it is beautiful hanging in a kitchen. Braiding keeps the bulbs separated enough to allow air to circulate around each individual head, yet close enough to save space. If you pile garlic in a basket, the ones on the bottom get crushed, and the moisture from the ones on top drips down, causing rot. Hanging ensures that gravity works for you, not against you. Air flows freely around the entire surface area. To braid, you need garlic with the stems still attached, cured until the stems are leathery but not brittle. Start with 3 large bulbs. Cross the stems like you are braiding hair. Add more bulbs as you go, alternating sides to keep the braid flat and stable. Tie the ends securely. Hang it in a dark, cool, dry place. A pantry is ideal. A closet works. The key is darkness and air. Light causes garlic to sprout. Humidity causes mold. Darkness and air keep it dormant. This method can preserve garlic for 6 to 9 months, sometimes a full year if the variety is a hardneck type suited for long storage. Rule number 5 addresses the environment. Where you hang that braid matters. Do not hang it above the stove. The heat and steam from cooking will penetrate the bulbs, waking them up and encouraging sprouting or molding. Do not hang it near the sink. The ambient humidity from washing dishes is too high. Find a spot that is consistently cool, between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit if possible, but definitely below 70. And it must be dark. Ultraviolet light degrades the compounds in garlic that give it its health benefits and flavor. If you do not have a dark pantry, you can cover the braid with a breathable cloth bag, like cotton or linen. Never use plastic. Plastic traps moisture and creates a microclimate of decay. Remember, garlic needs to breathe. It is alive. Suffocating it in plastic is like putting a pillow over its face. Let it breathe. Rule number 6 is about inspection. Preservation is not a set-it-and-forget-it task. Once a month, take down your braid. Look at it, feel it, smell it. If you see a bulb that is starting to soften, or if you spot a tiny bit of mold, remove it immediately. One bad bulb can spoil the whole braid, just as one rotten apple spoils the barrel. This is the principle of containment. By removing the offender early, you save the rest. Check for sprouts. If a clove has started to push a green shoot, use that bulb first. The sprout is edible, though it can be bitter, so you might want to slice the clove open and remove the green germ before cooking. But the rest of the clove is still good. Do not throw the whole head away because of one eager sprout. Use your senses. Your nose will tell you if something is wrong before your eyes see it. Trust your instincts. They are sharper than you think. Rule number 7 is the rule of dosage and use. This seems unrelated to storage, but it is vital. Garlic is potent. In folk medicine, we say the line between medicine and poison is the dose. When you have preserved garlic properly, you have a concentrated source of allicin, the compound responsible for garlic's antibiotic and antifungal properties. Allicin is formed when garlic is crushed or chopped, not when it is whole. So, to get the benefit, you must break the cell walls. But be careful. Raw garlic is strong. It can irritate the stomach lining if taken in excess. Always start with small amounts. 1 clove a day is often enough for health maintenance. Do not gorge yourself. Respect the power of the plant. And when cooking, remember that high heat destroys allicin. If you want the health benefits, add the garlic at the end of cooking, or eat it raw in a dressing. If you want the flavor, cook it low and slow. Know your purpose. Are you feeding the body or healing it? Both are good, but they require different approaches. Always use level measurements when following recipes that call for garlic powder or minced garlic, as the potency varies wildly between fresh and dried. Consistency is key to both flavor and safety. Now, let us talk about what most people throw away. In a kitchen run with care, there is no such thing as garbage. There are only resources waiting to be recognized. When you peel garlic, those papery skins usually go into the compost or the trash. Stop. Collect them. Garlic skins are rich in antioxidants and fiber. They have a mild, savory flavor. You can save them in a jar in the freezer. When you make stock or soup, toss a handful of skins into the pot. They will impart a deep, golden color and a subtle, garlicky warmth without the overpowering bite of the clove itself. Strain them out before serving. It is free flavor. It is zero waste. Furthermore, the green sprouts that people cut out and discard, they are not waste either. They are essentially baby garlic greens. Chop them finely and use them like chives or scallions. They have a milder, fresher taste than the clove. Sprinkle them on eggs, on salads, on roasted vegetables. Nothing is garbage. Everything has a purpose. This philosophy changes how you see your food. It changes how you value it. When you know that every part of the plant has a use, you treat it with reverence. And that reverence translates into better care, better storage, and less waste. Let us look at the numbers, plainly and honestly. How much does an average family spend on garlic? If you buy those small, plastic-wrapped heads at the supermarket, you might pay $1 per head. If you use 2 heads a week, that is $8 a month, nearly $100 a year. And that is assuming none of it goes bad. But we know some of it does. So let's say you waste 20%. That is $120 spent for $80 worth of usable garlic. Now, compare that to buying garlic in bulk during the harvest season or growing your own. A 10-pound box of curing garlic might cost $15 to $20. That is roughly 150 heads. If stored correctly using the braid and hang method, that box lasts a family 6 to 8 months easily. Even if you buy 2 boxes a year, you are spending $40 for a year's supply. That is a savings of $60 to $80 a year. It may not seem like a fortune, but it is real money. It is money that stays in your pocket. It is money that doesn't line the pockets of a corporation that doesn't know your name. But the true ROI, the return on investment, is not just financial. It is qualitative. It is the peace of mind of opening your pantry and knowing you have food. It is the satisfaction of pulling a perfect, firm head of garlic from a braid you made with your own hands in July and using it in January when the snow is falling outside. It is the lesson you teach your children. When they see you braiding garlic, they learn that food is not just a commodity. It is a cycle. They learn patience. They learn observation. They learn that if you take care of things, things take care of you. In a world that is increasingly disconnected from the sources of our sustenance, this is a radical act. It grounds you. It connects you to the earth and to your ancestors. For children, seeing food preserved teaches them resilience. It shows them that we are not helpless victims of the supply chain. We have agency. We have skills. That is priceless. I want to hear from you. I read every comment because this is not a broadcast. It is a conversation. Tell me in the comments below what state you are in, what county, and how old your house is. I am curious to see where my neighbors are. Are you in a city apartment with limited space, or on a farm with a barn full of air? Your context matters, and I want to know how these old ways fit into your modern life. Do you have a dark closet? A cool basement? Share your setup. Share your struggles. Maybe you tried braiding and it fell apart. Tell me. We learn from each other. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do. It is a small click for you, but it is a great support for us. It helps us continue to dig up these buried truths and bring them to the light. Before I go, I want to leave you with a thought for next time. We have talked about preserving what grows above ground and in the bulb. But what about the soil itself? What about the ash from your wood stove? Most people sweep it up and throw it away, or spread it randomly on the garden. But did you know that a single cup of wood ash, applied correctly, can change the pH of your lawn and provide potassium in a form that grass craves? But apply it wrongly, and you can burn your turf and lock up nutrients. Next week, I will show you the precise, measured way to use wood ash to green up your lawn without spending a dime on fertilizer. It is another piece of old market wisdom, verified by science. You will not want to miss it. Until then, keep your garlic dry, keep your eyes open, and keep your hands busy. Goodbye for now.